What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. Uh, this video is the top 22 cover buys of 2022. And it's one of our curated lists that's going to count us down to the end of the year. I'm still coming up with a list as I go along. I'm trying to figure out kind of look at my collection and try to categorize lists. So I think, the last video I did was the top 22 first issues that we picked up in 2022. This one is the top cover buys, and I'll get into what I mean by cover buy in just a minute. But before I do, this video will probably go out this video is being filmed a little past Thanksgiving weekend, and we had a great Thanksgiving with some friends. But the real highlight for me was meeting Naman, aka A Comic Book Worm, my sort of partner in crime on YouTube. We host, of course, the Meet the Collector, Meet the Artist series that was nominated for the Comic Book Community Awards this year. So, what's interesting is, Naman recently kind of moved to the Pacific Northwest, and he's going to be sort of a resident here over the next few years, and it's quite incredible. He and I connected just probably earlier in the year via YouTube, via our channels, and just supporting one another, and it really just, our relationship blossomed, and just to be able to really connect with him in person and have him now a member of my community, just a member of, my life going forward as somebody, he only lives 15 minutes away, a 15-minute drive away right now. So, I talk about 운명, destiny or fate, in my comic hunts. I talk about this concept all the time. And I just really feel like our fates, our destinies there was something working there in terms of us being, intertwined, our destinies being intertwined, our paths crossing, and just that progression from not knowing each other but having a similar path to this country, similar histories, to now to connecting online, doing some YouTube content work together, getting nominated for award, and now finally just having met in person, and also just moving forward, being a part of one another's lives, as people who live like neighbors. But we're practically, we're not like neighbors in the sense that we live right next to one another, but neighbors in the sense we live in the same vicinity now. So this video will probably go out closer to our comic haul, our mutual comic haul video. We went to 2 comic book shops over the weekend, and I'm not going to give too much away. He picked up a lot of books, more than I did. I did not pick up my usual batch of 25-cent bin books. I actually was more targeted and spent a little bit more on books I really wanted for my collection. But we did pick up quite a few books. We did pick up a good deal of 25-cent books, along with some higher priced key books. And again, that video, we're gonna do a live stream where we go over our haul. So please don't miss that. That's gonna be just a great time, and we'll go over the day we spent together. And I've got to say, I mean, we'll mention it in the video as well, but that day hunting with Namanhyung, we had breakfast, and we pretty much spent the whole day just digging comics, just looking for comics at 2 different shops. And that has to be the best. That day, what we did that day was one of the best times I've ever had in a comic shop. Probably the best. And it definitely is the best. You know, this is what I mean by fate or destiny. This was going to be the last comic book haul of the year. And I can honestly say, this last comic book haul is the best comic book haul of the year. In terms of books, in terms of just the experience of, you know, spending time with him, and, you know, connecting with him again in person, just kind of bonding with him. It was an amazing time and experience. And Namanhyung, I thank you. I know you're watching, but I thank you for that great day. And I'm looking forward to our next. I'm really looking forward to doing this. Doing this consistently. Just kind of setting a time maybe every month, because I'm gonna soon have my $30 budget back. Didn't have budget until February of next year. February next year is just a couple months away. So starting in February, we can hit up the comic book shop each month and pick up the books that you and I want to pick up. And we can hit up different shops, so we'll be strategic about that, so we're not hitting the same shop up every month. But yeah, so that's a big update. Namanhyung is here in the Pacific Northwest now, and he's no longer my just YouTube buddy. He's my real life buddy now. So it's great to be able to connect with him. All right, so let's get to this list. These are the top 22 cover buys of 2022. And what do I mean by cover buy? Because technically, like, everything I kind of show off has a great cover. It has, the reason we collect comic books is for the art, and oftentimes, even if it's a key book, it'll have the reason we want it in our collection is because we connect with either the writing, the art, or sometimes a combination of both. And so it's, saying something is a cover buy or something has a great cover is a really broad statement. And so I'm just going to kind of give you some context into what this list is about. First off, this list will not have any books by Jim Lee, because we're going to do a separate Jim Lee list as we count down. It'll probably be one of my final lists. And that's because we picked up a lot of Jim Lee books, and really every Jim Lee book is a cover buy for me, because they're mostly covers, like Jim Lee covers. He usually does his own cover work and interior. So Jim Lee's not in this list. Neil Adams and Peach Momoko will not be in this list. So it's pretty much those 3 artists I've sort of separated, and I will probably do a list for each of those artists. Now, I could have gone further and done separated all my favorite artists. But the thing limiting that is, I think in 2022, I was focused on picking up a lot of different artists, but Jim, Neil, and Peach were three artists I think where the bulk of the additions were for those three specific artists. Now, there are going to be artists here where we picked up a lot of books, probably equivalent to them, but in terms of like straight up, I bought this really for its cover, I can't necessarily say that applies to each of these artists that we'll be focusing. Now, yeah, they most of them, the artists have great covers, but for me, some of these other artists that I picked up weren't necessarily, we couldn't necessarily say it was a cover buy. There were different reasons why we wanted to pick those books up. So, and also just the volume. Like I didn't have enough volume on some of these artists to really create that list. So there's sort of the rationale behind that. And the other thing we really took out was we took out signature books, because the signature books will have another list altogether as well. And I really tried to keep the list void of keys, because cover by kind of intimates that it's not a key, that it's just purely for the art on the front cover. So making that distinction, you really place the emphasis on the visual aspect of the cover, that the cover has many elements that tell a story, that have just is a great visual, invokes emotion, all the things you would probably enjoy at, let's say, a museum of art, where you're enjoying like works of art. Is the cover something that you could frame and put on like a wall and be able to just have that picture or that image be thought-provoking, be evoke emotion, evoke thought, evoke I think just stimulates you, right? In different ways. So that's kind of where this list is geared around. All right, with that being said, let's get right to the books. Our first book, and I've covered this book many times, but it really is one of the best pickups of the year. It's not really a big key. It's just a reprint. That's another thing. I tried to keep reprints off the list as well, because those are really key books. But this one, it's not like a reprint in the sense that it reprints the cover. It's really its original cover. It is a reprint of Hulk's 181 and then 180. But the reason we chose this book is because of its great cover by Frank Cho. This is the first cover appearance of She-Hulk and Red Hulk together. It's the second appearance of the Red Hulk, and it's just a great cover. Look at how amazing that cover is, right? Yeah, I mean, they're just about to throw down, and it's just like her pose there with her fist cocked and the Hulk just lunging at her. That is just a great cover by Frank Cho. So we had to put this on my list. We had to put it on the list, and again, beautiful, beautiful cover. All right, the very next cover is right on the back. We have Wonder Woman number 184, and this is just a beautiful combination of classic Golden Age art right there meets Adam Hughes, the modern sort of take on Wonder Woman. So it's just two very different, it contrasts modern and classic, it contrasts old and new, it contrasts the two different styles and takes on the same character. And just, yeah, it's just a beautiful, with the trade dress there and sort of the aged elements on this modern book. It's just a beautiful cover to look at. This next cover is just complete nostalgia. It's a nostalgic cover by. And what I mean by nostalgia is I grew, the period I collected, meaning while I was collecting, yeah, I knew some of the older books and stuff, but it's really the books that came out that I actually, like witnessed on the newsstand or like in a comic book shop, things that I've like, essentially things that were published and released as I was collecting. So I have a very vivid memory of these books. Now, they're not necessarily books I picked up, but you were cognizant that these books were being released and were there, and you had the option to get them. So you're kind of like, what should I get this month or this week? And yeah, you make those financial decisions, and you just can't pick everything up. But you do kind of remember the things that, oh man, I wish I'd picked that up. And there's a lot of that, right? There's a lot of stuff out there in your collecting era that you either have the intention to pick up, or maybe have some regrets of not having picked up. And this is definitely of that caliber, where this is a book I've always been. I got to be honest. Spider-Man Volume 1 by McFarlane is were books I bought kind of consistently as a collector back in the day. So I had a lot of the issues. I couldn't say I had like a complete run, but I definitely had like issues 1, 13, I think the first like four or five issues. And yeah, they were part of my collection. Now, I only retained just a few of those books from that run. I don't know what happened to the other books. I never had this book though. Actually, I think I've retained all the books that I've had, and I only really had like maybe five or six from the original. Now, he has there's 18 books in his initial run, 18 books. I think I had 5 in my original collection, which I believe I still have. I may be missing 1 or 2. So I know I have 5 in my collection. I may have had 1 or 2 more, but it's not all that expansive. But I definitely did not have this book, number 12. Nor did I have Wolverine in the brown suit. His claws are up. But those are books I always wanted, because they were just cool covers, and never really had a chance to go back and pick them up and all that. But this is actually one of the books from my haul with Nam Mang Hyung, and it's one I picked up, and it's one we got for $4. So I did pay. It's a nice minty, crisp minty cover, which is why we paid $4 for it. But it's just a beautiful cover right there. That is Todd McFarlane goodness, and two of my favorite characters on the same cover, drawn by Todd. It just doesn't get any better than this in terms of a cover. You just got two great portrayals of the character there. You've got Todd's signature like webbing and all the, yeah, it's just a great image. It's just them flying out of the page, the poses, the snarl there, a Wolverine. Absolutely beautiful cover. And so yeah, I don't mind, $4 is usually kind of a big buy for me to spend $4 on a book this year. But this was well worth it. This is probably my favorite cover by Todd in that run. Obviously you have, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 13. That is a classic cover. But, if you were to ask me which one's the better cover, I would go with this one. This one just has more to like than that classic cover. That's been homaged like a billion different times. Okay, so we've gone through 3 books already. Continuing on. This is actually a minor key book, and there are actually, I don't want to say better, but there are as kind of significant covers by this artist in this particular sequence or series of, I guess you'd say it's like a mini-series, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like a mini-series of books in a run, right? And that is the Inferno story arc. And all of Silvestri's covers on this Inferno arc are incredible. They're really they're all just amazing pieces of work. And the thing is, I don't have any of them. It's like I don't have any of them. So this is the first. So let me restate that. I used to have them. I read them. I used to have all the Inferno books. They're not in my collection anymore. I would say there's about a short box full of books that just disappeared, along with a bunch of baseball cards and stuff, because my parents had moved several times after I left the house, after I left, went off to college, and during those moves they lost a bunch of my stuff. And not that my late 80s and 90s baseball cards were worth much. I kind of kept all the stuff that was worth more expensive, separate, and I have that at my parents' place right now. So all the sort of my big baseball cards, I still do have that collection, but all the stuff in the binders, like all the sort of minor stars and cards that you're not, you know what I mean, Hall of Fame type players, non-rookie type star cards. I had them in binders and stuff, but now, many years later, almost 2-3 decades later, some of those cards are actually worth a lot. Like I have the Bo Jackson black and white football pad baseball card, right? The Jim Lee Michael Jordan cards. I had a bunch of Michael Jordan upper deck like sets. They were just exclusive Michael Jordan sets, right? Those are probably worth a good deal. So I had a lot of cards and a lot of comics as well that we don't have anymore. Nothing I can do about it. Just one of those things that you think about and say, man, just and if I had those in my collection now, maybe they'd probably be worth a lot. So the Inferno also is among those books that I don't have anymore, and which is really unfortunate because, again, like I mentioned, there's some key books in this Inferno arc, as well as just great, amazing cover art. And the one we really miss is the first cover appearance of Mr. Sinister. And that's the one that I think maybe the issue that precedes this, or maybe a couple that precede this. But that's a beautiful cover as well. This one is my favorite because it highlights all the villains in this arc, and they're all kind of like just coming at you. Like you got Sabretooth there, you got Polaris, Nin Ostre, Madeline Pryor, and of course Mr. Sinister. So this particular cover, when I picked it up, it was like absolute nostalgia, absolute just cover by just a beautiful cover there by Silvestri. Probably, I don't know, that Mr. Sinister cover is a great one. This one is also pretty good, but they're all great. So we're definitely, so all those Inferno books are on our radar. Probably gonna pick them up. Be focused about picking them up next year. So look forward to that. It's just gonna be a slow, like there are a lot of copies out there. I see them at comic book shows. I see them in comic book shops all the time. For like $5, $5. The nicer copies are now probably $10, but those are books that that I was always kind of like, I want them in the collection, but it's not like I don't urgently need them, and if you can get them, at a good price or running them at price books for like 50 cents, that's kind of what we've been targeting. But this one I paid I think $4 for. Yeah, I paid $3 or $4 for this copy when we picked it up. All right, moving right along, we have, this is one of my favorite X-Men covers in the collection. It's X-Men 92, number 10 by David Nakayama. We love David Nakayama's work, and this is just a great shot of the 90s team. I just love every character on this cover, and Nakayama's great like spatial sense and character rendering, and love the Psylocke there with the purple hair, the light purple hair. Yeah, that's a masterpiece right there on the cover. That is a beautiful cover. Now, there are some other real notable covers by David Nakayama that are not on this list because they're signed books. So when we do the signed book list, you'll see them there, and we'll cover that when we get to it. This next cover is just a beautiful Michael Turner cover there, the Fantastic Four team. It's just, man, look at all the great characters there. Yeah, Rest in peace, Michael Turner. Just a beautiful cover. Love that cover. You know, I can't imagine you running into this book and not wanting to pick it up. That's kind of another great, like, I don't normally collect Fantastic Four, but that would be a good sign of a cover buy, where you like pick up a book that you don't normally read based on what you saw on the cover. So I think that would be an instance where if I saw that book at the comic book shop, I'd be like, oh man, stop the presses, we're picking that up. Alright, so the next couple of books are these are classic covers by one of my favorite artists of all time. That's John Romita Sr., Papa Romita. And Papa Romita did this wonderful Jaws homage cover of Spidey Super Stories number 16. Now, when I saw this book, I got this book at Half Price Books. It was not half of 35 cents. Man, it would have been great if we picked it up for half. But it was priced at, I think, $1 or $2, which for me was still a great deal for a great cover art like that. So I had to picked it up. The next one is also, this is a classic. This is just, what's significant about this is Romita Jr.'s first Spider-Man. It appeared on Daredevil 17, I believe. And this is a reprint of that book, but the cover art is the same. So this is actually like a really significant classic cover, just on a kind of a reprint, Bronze Age reprint. Still great, but this is a very low grade book. It presents pretty well, and again, that image is really the reason we picked it up. We're not necessarily concerned with the grade. This is just a cover buy for John Romita's first Spider-Man cover. John Romita would go on to be probably the quintessential artist on Spider-Man, because I mean, his Spider-Man just rocks. And this one is also a book I've covered on I think previous lists for various things, and it definitely applies as a cover buy, and that is Justice League 63. Great cover of all the and there's just something classic about Mike Sadowski's artwork on this Silver Age book, with the tones. I just love it. You know, you got the trade dress, you got him saying something. Now, who's the toughest Justice Leaguer of them all? And it's just a great. That's a classic cover right there. And I do want to get a better grade of this book, but I mean, I'm happy just to have it, because it does present pretty well, but it's a beat up copy. But if we can pick this up in a, it doesn't have to be like high grade, but if we can pick this up in a nicer grade, that would be good. But even if we just have this as the only copy, that's fine. All right, counting down. Got a lot of great covers right there that we went through, but we're now getting a little bit focused, counting down to the top sort of cover buys this year. And this one is just a beautiful cover. Just a beautiful cover. By one of my favorite artists. And that is Fantastic Four 289. All the elements you want in a great comic book cover, you've got. You got word bubbles, you've got a great character at the central, that's central to the cover, and you've got sort of a scene from what's going to be, you know, it's showing a critical scene from this book, which is pretty much most good covers, right? Like most good covers are going to give you a good action shot of, hey, this is what's in this book, so buy it, kind of thing. But this one does it beautifully there with Johnny. Oh, and it can't be not you, kind of setting up a villain that took out the Fantastic Four right there. I think, again, I'm trying to collect this entire Byrne Fantastic Four run. And normally I don't collect Fantastic Four, but I do collect John Byrne, and I love his run on the Fantastic Four. There's just so many amazing, like, iconic covers in that run. It's really fun to, like this one, right? Like this one here. Just stuff like that we want to add to the collection. So we're focused on picking up the Byrne run of Fantastic Four. And another thing I've decided that I'm going to collect is X-Men 200 to 300, because that was kind of like the era I collected in X-Men. So having those books is having that entire run, 200 to 300. I think that's a good collecting goal because, first of all, there aren't really any major books that are out of my budget or price range at this point. So it's something we can do. If we really focused on it, we can do that. And it's 100 books. I think I have the capacity to add those 100. I mean, I already have a lot of that run in my collection already, so it'd just be, you know, filling the holes, which I imagine would be close to, you know, probably, I'd say 70 books. Probably have 30 books, X-Men books in that 100 book run. So we're, you know, a third of the way there. So yeah, that's, I think, going to be one of my other collecting goals moving forward, especially in the new year. We did pick up quite a bit of books, and you know, I had the opportunity to pick up 200 for like I think, what was it, 35 cents or 50 cents, but we didn't do it, and I wish I had, but I'm sure there'll be more opportunities, so we'll see what happens. All right, we've got our next cover, Barry Windsor Smith goodness right there, and that is Weapon X 70, was that 78? 79. Weapon X 79, Barry Windsor Smith goodness. It's the Weapon X classic cover. Wolverine with the headgear on. He's lost his mind. He's lost his mind. Beautiful cover. I love the colors on this one as well. Just great. Yeah, beautiful. This one also was a cover by, and this is one of my favorite covers in the collection. All of these covers are favorites of mine in the collection. They will not. These are all part of the PC now. Yeah, none of these books are going anywhere. So these are pretty much all PC books. And that this one is here is Justice Society of America #10. Great Alex Ross cover of Superman in the classic, the iconic first suit right there. Beautiful. And I just love the shadows and just the facial expression there. Superman in the foreground, just beautiful, beautiful. He's got his hands sort of crossed. Love that image. Next, speaking of Superman and similar kind of tone, we got the Trinity there, staring down at you. Justice League of America 0, my amazing Michael Turner cover. This is just one of our favorite Michael Turner covers in the collection. Absolute cover by. I've talked about this book probably. I can remember talking about this at least twice for whatever. I think on the initial haul I talked about it, and maybe I did this as my favorite Wonder Woman books, Wonder Woman covers, like top 10 Wonder Woman covers. But yeah, it absolutely is one of my top covers of Wonder Woman. That's her in the Roman, or I should say Grecian military regalia. Grecian regalia there. With all, and there's just so much to look at here in the like the gods and the demons there at the bottom, just that spatial alignment. Again, she's central, just a really vivid uniform there. Just, yeah, and the thing is, I think this cover actually folds out as well. And I mentioned it before, but there's only really one guy who could pull off a cover like this, and that's the guy who did it. It's George Perez, who we lost earlier this year. So 2022 it was a bittersweet year because of the legends that we had to say goodbye to. But yeah, I picked up a lot of George Perez, and really, I could have curated a separate list for him as well, just the top 22 George Perez covers, because the Perez book is a cover by pretty much. It's, there's just a few, there are only a handful of artists where you can just say every book, all their books are qualify as a cover by, because that's just the kind of quality and master, the masterpiece type quality that you just are accustomed to when you talk about an artist. And here's another example of Romita Sr., classic. This isn't really, this is a reprint of a cover actually, on the Marvel Tales here. Not too different. Obviously, the trade desk is different, but in terms of the cover itself, they're very similar to the original Amazing Spider-Man book. And again, that's when you have a classic rendering of the character there, it just becomes iconic. Yeah. This was like, it's not like I wanted the reprint, I just wanted the cover. That's a great cover right there. Would love to have the original too, but it's a pricey book. All right, this next one, this is a key book. It's a key book, and it's not worth all that much right now, but you know, there's potential for it to, I think, really become a sought after book. I think a few things have to happen. It's, you know, we've already had Magic come to the big screen in the New Mutants movie that came out, which I guess was not well received, but you know, there's potential for Marvel to do a lot with this character when it'll be interesting to see what team comes to the MCU X-Men. You have all this hype, all the X-Men are coming to the MCU, like what that will look like, whether it will be the classic teams, and by classic I mean like, you know, pretty much the Byrne Claremont, where the new team meets the old classic team. So that core group of X-Men characters, or if they go sort of the more younger, modern route and introduce sort of the current teams of X-Men, where I think you have more, you know, like certain characters have more of a presence. For example, Emma Frost, right? You could definitely see, you would probably have like Quicksilver, Jubilee could be more central to that arc, but also I think you could introduce someone like Magic easily, right? So while I don't think she will be part of that new team, I'm sure she'll be in whatever X-Men movies. I'm sure you've got to have her peripheral or integral to whatever happens in those movies. So I'm sure it's a character that they'll continue to just continue to highlight and spotlight in the not only in continuity, but in movies and the future identity of the X-Men. And this cover by Archer, I'm kind of covering her up, aren't I? This cover by Archer is Ooh La La. That's what it is. It's Ooh La La. That's a cover by right there. Give you a nice close look. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful cover. And Archer is like, I mean, you could have a dictionary that had a definition of cover by, and you'd see a picture of Archer there, or maybe a picture of Archer's covers there. Okay, this is definitely a cover by, and it's John Byrne, and I got this in a trade, so it wasn't necessarily a buy, but it's a book that dictated that the need to pull the trigger on the trade. Now, I did give up some key books. Go back and watch the video, see what I gave up. And it's been months since that trade, and I can tell you honestly, I do not regret not having. I mean, I do. I do think, like that Strange Academy #1, the sketch variant that I traded away. I don't think I'll ever see that book come into my presence ever again. Meaning, like, if it does, I'll probably see it at a show somewhere, but it'll be like priced like $100 or so. I don't think I'll ever see that specific cover come in for half a cover or like at a discount price. I just don't think that, I'll have that opportunity again. And if it does, that's truly an Young book, and we'll keep our eye out for it and pick it up in that situation. But I'm not going to go out and pay what its book value is right now. So again, I don't think it's going to be a book that will ever come into my collection again, which is fine, because I can't pick up every book, and I'm trying to be extra focused now moving forward because of the limited amount of space that I have. But this book, yes, this is absolutely a PC book, and this is a book that we may get signed and slabbed. Definitely, if John Byrne comes to like Emerald City or even just somewhere in America to do a show, a signing show, we'll strongly consider trying to make it. I'm just hoping an announcement is, because like right now, Nalan Young and I, we've discussed going to San Diego together next year. A few things have to happen for that to happen, but one is we both know Jim Lee's going to be there, so that's really sort of the main reason to go. But I think if we see another one of my favorite artists, for example, Peach Momoko, decides, okay, she's gonna hit up San Diego Comic-Con next year, that will be like game over. We're getting the tickets, we're gonna spend a few days there, maybe even do the whole, I don't know, we won't spend like all 4 or 5 days there, but we'll definitely try to hit the days Peach and Jim are signing for sure, which will probably be like Saturday or Sunday, right? Between one of those two, so we could do a Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, I mean, like if we could get like John Byrne there as well, man, I'd just be out so much more. I'd be out so much money, and I'd really have to like, there's a lot of books we want to get signed, but definitely this is probably among the top ones I want to get signed by John, because of the condition. First off, this is a really clean book. I know the black signature there would just pop off the red, and just having that signed book slabbed would look incredible. So that's something we're just waiting to see if some kind of announcement is made. Now I know John Byrne was recently in, maybe she's still maybe there, but was in Rio de Janeiro over the, I think last weekend or so, doing a show and signing there. And I was like, man, you gotta come to North America, not South America. But that's all good. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to meet with John Byrne. I'm sure I'm sure going to Rio de Janeiro and doing that event, hopefully it signals to him how much his fans want to see him, and also that it's, those kinds of trips can be relatively easy lifts, so hopefully he decides, you know what, that was fun, let's do more, and he plans like a little tour in America. That's what I'm really hoping, so fingers crossed that Byrne is coming. Alright, so this next one is a cover by, but it's kind of qualifies. It doesn't like completely qualify because this book's already in my collection. So I've had it in my collection, but there's really no other reason to get this book than because of the nostalgia. I mean, I guess it is a key book. Actually, you know, it's a little bit of a cover by and a spec by as well. But that's X-Men Alpha, great Joe Madureira cover. I've always loved this cover because it's first of all, it's a wraparound cover, and it's like a chromium, or I don't even know what you call this, like a metal cover. It's like a foil cover, and it's just an amazing, like a team book. So you got all these different alternate timeline versions of the characters. Just love that cover. So love to have that, add to that collection. That bird is coming. All right. I think we're down to my last, let's see here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my last 5 books. So these are the top 5 cover buys over this past year. And yeah, these are all big books. So, I mean, I should say they're all big books. They're all like just, yeah, 5 of my most favorite covers in the collection. And we'll start here with great homage cover of Catwoman, the Michelle Pfeiffer art germ rendition of Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. Man, that is just amazing cover. Just the facial expression, the suit, everything just spot on this cover. Yeah, so it's beautiful. Incredible cover. All right, this next one, I mean, I've done, I think, my top Superman covers. This is kind of way up on the list as well. But this one is Superman 675. Don't need to really explain why it's a great cover. Love Superman. Love that. The sun tones there, the red tones. Looking extra powerful there. Boom. Ugh. Alright. This next one, I mean, I'm telling you, it reminds me, I think I mentioned this early on an earlier video too, where we showcased this cover, and it has all like the girl with the pearl earring vibe, and that's this art germ cover by Supergirl. Now I contrast this with the art germ. We had a previous art germ book here. I'm gonna just pull it out again. Here, where you have a standard sort of sketch and inking cover, beautifully done. But this one is, he basically digitally rendered it, and it's just a 3D digitally graphical rendering of a cover, and it's absolutely, it's flawless. Look at that. She just looks so she just looks like a goddess right there, right? And the pose and the sunlight hitting her and her golden hair and that glow. She's just basking in a glow there, and the smile, the expression. It's just, man. Now, this copy is a VF copy, which is it's a good copy. I mean, it's not like, it's still high grade, but I think I know there's some other Supergirl covers there, and I want to get more of those Archer and Supergirl covers. They're all pretty amazing, and that is Elektra and Daredevil. That is just an amazing cover. The color. This is a beautiful copy. This is a 9.8 potential copy that I wish now. I mean, we're gonna send this into CGC at some point. Just gotta be patient, but I'm very curious to know what this would come back as. Again, I think it's 9.8 quality. There's absolutely nothing in the way of a spine tick on this black cover. Corners are sharp. Yeah, I mean, I can't. If they were to downgrade this a 9.6, I would really want to know why, because it just looks flawless. I can get it up really close so you can see for yourselves. But beautiful book. Just a beautiful book. So yeah, this is the number 2 on my list. Daredevil 175. All right, now we're down to the top book, top cover buy. And this was a complete cover buy because it's one of those things where if I'm getting it off of eBay, or my car, if I'm getting it online and I'm doing my due diligence to find probably the best graded copy at the best price, we're looking both at something low, so nothing like, nothing 9.8 potential or even a graded comic. And so getting something priced and looking at the price, when we're looking at that price book, we're really looking at the photos and then trying to determine if there's a flaw that would justify that price, or if it's a grade that we think is above that price, something elevated above that price. So if we're getting value out of that listing. And so let me kind of let's clarify something here. Now, I have this book. So let me just explain. I got this book off of Mercari. Here it is. I got this book off of Mercari. And again, we got it because it was a very good price. And for the most part, by looking at the photos, I put this in the VF range. It was a VF, maybe VF plus copy. And having received the book, I still am confident that we got a VF copy. It's got a few spine ticks, but for the most part, looks really clean. So we were ecstatic to pick this up. Okay, so this is the top cover by my collection. And I went on the hunt with Naman Young, and Jeff at Ancient Comics had this book for $2. So he prices things out here. You can see the sticker on there, right? It says $4, but gotta realize, like, his bins, he has things priced out, but they're 50% off that price. So this is a $2 book, and it's nowhere near this condition. This is closer to probably, I want to say this would be like a 6.0, maybe maybe a 6.5 to 6.0, maybe even a 5. It's really this corner that's the issue right there. It's kind of, there's some creasing there. This can definitely use a press for sure. It's not pressed, but being the black cover that it is, you've got all kinds of, let me get it up here so you can see it better. So you've got, you can see the creasing there in the corner, right? It's got spine ticks all up and down the spine. Okay, you can see the spine ticks right there. Yeah, so that corner is pretty ragged. There aren't any like tears or chips or anything like that. It's just a book that was read, obviously, and it just got rough edges and all that. So again, I would grade this at like a 6.0, maybe a 6.5 if we're generous. With a press, probably a 6.5. But it's a newsstand copy. It presents really well, you know. In terms of like color breaks and all that, it kind of blends in really nicely. And for $2, man, I was like, I'm picking this up. I'm getting another copy. So for me, I'm gonna have these up here like this. Kind of cool to show it like that. For me, this cover by John Byrne on this Spider-Man, this negative space cover, is an incredible cover. I mean, this could qualify as like just one of the top covers in my collection. It's definitely the top cover on this curated list, but I mean, you know, if we were to get like a John Byrne signature in white marker here, and graded that, man, I mean, I could still see myself picking up a higher grade. This is again like an 8.5. This is like a 6 or 6.5. But if we can get this in a higher grade, it'd be something we would maybe pick up more copies of. But for now, you know, just having these two copies is scratching that itch of having both the newsstand and the direct. Yeah, I mean, you could look at these covers from any angle, landscape angle, that angle, whatever angle. I mean, it's just a great pose, just a great. I kind of like looking at it upside down. I think upside down is a great angle too. Just a beautiful cover by John Byrne. So again, thanks for watching and supporting the channel. We've got some great videos coming up. I've got the top 22 Jim Lee books, the top 10 Peach Momoko books, the top 10 Neil Adams books coming up on the end of the year lists. I'll also have maybe the top 22 signature books that we picked up, signed books, and what else? We'll probably have a couple more curated lists. So again, keep following, keep watching. If you enjoy this content, feel free to like this video, subscribe, get the notifications. I'm hoping to really add more, you know, followers in the new year. it wasn't really sort of a priority for me to add like a lot of subscribers or have a lot of people watching, but we're at above 150 now, and you know, I really feel like from where I started out to where I am now in terms of having sort of an identity for this show, and you know, having the focus of what the show showcases, which is my collection, different lists, my thoughts on the hobby, my approach to the hobby, the Unyum books that we could pick up, my approach to the haul. I hope when people watch this video, you know, they kind of see, wow, like I can pick up books that I want to really want to add. I mean, they're not Grail books, but you know, like really what you'd consider PC books. Just having a strong sense of what you like, what you want to add to the PC, and then that you're able to, if you have that vision, you're able to get the books that you want rather cheap, rather, you know, inexpensively. So yeah, that's pretty much as we close down 2024. We're heading into December now, so as we head into 2023, as we head into 23 and close out 2022, that's kind of where we are as we look forward to next year, when we look back on the hobby and what we picked up this past year. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
OTG has an OCD for comics, gets his books for super cheap, one's for the PC that he will keep. Look out, here comes the OTG. Otaku, listen man, he's got a showing them for comics. Yakugan, Vinegar, nobody get killed Sharingan. Hey there goes the OTG. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Otaku, otaku, friendly neighborhood tour guide. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Jimmy books are his reward. To him, life is a great big comic hall. Wherever there's a comic wall, he's Jimly's biggest fan.